Serious, men of Reddit, what is your reason you don't want kids? I'm the oldest of my generation in the family by like 5-6 years. And most of my aunts, uncles, and cousins live in the same town. Guess who got voluntold he was babysitting quite a lot growing up? Guess who all the cousins went to when they were in trouble? Hell. My uncle and his family kicked out one cousin because she's gay. The rest of the family doesn't talk to them much anymore. And I make a point of excluding them from holidays at my house. Guess who the cousin, teenager, still in high school, moved in with until she could get her own place like 4-5 years later? I've raised enough f***ing kids. I'm going to be the cool uncle to their kids. But at the end of the day I want to come home, play with my video games, tinker with some models, and never have to worry about little children constantly being underfoot again unless I invite them over. My cat doesn't ask why I'm having beer with breakfast either. This has nothing to do with me being a man, but I have decided that I am not going to father any children. I might be willing to adopt or be a stepdad, but the genes I carry are dangerous. Almost the entirety of my mother's side of the family has had cancer in one way or another. My father was paranoid schizophrenic and committed suicide when I was a child. I don't want to risk passing any of this shit on. Getting a sperm donor is also fairly easy and inexpensive. Adopting is a really admirable choice. But many children have mental or physical health issues. And the actual adoption process can be really expensive. Especially in the US where I've looked into it. So sperm donor may be a better option. Either way, parenthood is about being there for your kid. You're not missing out on anything by not passing down your genetic material. No paternal instinct. Don't really like kids. Hate noise, crying, mess, clutter, and all the baggage that seems to accompany children. Love having the financial freedom of being child free and am on track to retire early-ish as a result. Especially love the personal freedom. Want to take off for a weekend in Vegas, pre-pandemic? No problem. I'm doing the world a huge solid by not passing on my family genes. Whole lot of crazy ends with me. Not a man, but this is my reason too. My bloodline ends with me. We do not need any more bipolar BPD kids in the world. I had a hard enough time. I just don't. I knew I didn't want kids when I was a kid. And didn't change my mind. Alone time, quiet, and space are things I need. And you can't have that in kids. TBH, I feel very lucky to not feel the urge. Because pretty much every other reason also applies to me. Bad genes. Probably a bad parent. Not financially secure. etc. Got sterilized some years ago. As a dad, I can tell you that having kids is like having the world's best job. It's just unpaid. And in addition to any other jobs you might have. If you're not 100% certain that you want that job, just stay away. You'll never hear one preachy word from me. If someone says they don't want kids, it's hard as FCK. And if I didn't actually like it, I'm not sure how I would have coped with it. There are already too many humans on the planet, and I wouldn't want to bring a child into a world which is pretty much gonna be FK'd in 20 years. 100% this. I tell people this and they look at me like I'm nuts. Do you not see the planet burning? The political turmoil? The violence and unrest? I'm all for helping the next generation. But I think it's irresponsible to bring new life into the world right now. There are several reasons. Let's begin. I do not have a partner that I trust, even if I did. I cannot ask someone to do something to their body that I would not be willing to do to myself, even if they were willing. There is no guarantee that we could afford it. I also do not want to give up my lifestyle or force my partner to give up theirs for it. Right now, a friend's father gave me sound advice on this. When you view having children as a door opening to new adventures rather than a door closing, you can start that discussion. They're annoying as fuck. I had an argument with a 4-year-old because she only wanted one string cheese but she was holding 2. She had broken her string cheese in half. She then cried and went to tell on me to her mom. I love my nieces and nephews, but I call them my little birth control packets. I'm not that responsible to take care of another person. Plus I'm pretty selfish as with my me time. That's not selfish. You recognize that you possibly aren't responsible enough to take care of kids. That in and of itself is pretty responsible. Having kids isn't for everyone. And that's okay. Because who knows what their personality is going to be like. You're really playing a game of Russian roulette when you're having kids. God. Heaven forbid they're into sports. Dad, I wanna play catch. Double quote. Sit down, Johnny, and play Call of Duty with your father. A combination of terrible genes, terrible financials, and a terrible world to grow up in. My wife is an pediatric oncology nurse and I am a public servant. We have close to 30 nieces and nephews. After many long discussions, we agreed that we could make the world a better place dedicating our lives to others. Part of that decision was realizing that parenthood takes a lot of time and resources. We would rather invest our time and resources in our community and immediate family instead of our own lives. I still have fundamental questions about the nature of reality and the relationship of human existence to it. Just seems irresponsible. Also, they're loud and dirty and smelly. Economic problems? Having a child in HK cost a lot. Many people can't afford it IDK if other places are the same. Absolutely do not like the direction the world is heading in. Economic uncertainty, climate change, political instability. All these and more make me feel like I would not be leading a child into a better world than I grew up in. And there's too many people on this damn planet anyway. And I'm not so arrogant to believe I would be depriving the world of my genetics by not reproducing. Grew up with much younger siblings, so it kinda burnt me out on the baby thing. Plus I love just coming home after work and relaxing. A kid would seriously cut into my gaming time. 1. Not having anyone to care about makes you very flexible financially. You can take career risks that a family man can't. Because he can't afford to stay jobless for even as little as 2 months. 2. I'm afraid that I will hate my wife or even kids several years down the line, and at that point I won't be able to leave. Breaking up is tragic. But at least you can walk away and build another relationship with almost zero consequences. Not the case if you're leading a family. They are all assholes. Depends on how you raise them. Shitty parents equals shitty kid. I'm still deciding, but I'm leaning heavily more towards not having one. I have a bunch of reasons, but the most convincing one for me is simply that the idea of having children doesn't bring me any real excitement, but more like an EHH could be nice kind of feeling. If I am gonna be a dad, I want it to excite me, and if it doesn't, I will simply just not have any children, because without that excitement I'm not gonna come into it 100%, and having children is a huge commitment that you cannot change your mind about. And if I can't be the best dad I can be, I'd rather not be a dad at all. A kid can't consent to birth beforehand. Which means I'm creating a human who could have any number of issues. And even if they don't, they have to deal with the impending knowledge of death for most of their life and the implications thereof. It just seems super unfair to force someone to deal with that burden. It's something I regret being hoisted upon myself as well. And before anyone starts in on, do you need help or suicide prevention line, the issue is that I'm going to die and have to cognitively deal with that. So don't worry. I'm not looking to get there in a hurry. Well said. I never asked to play this game. I don't want to play this game. But here I am. With play the game or starve to death. I just hope I go quick. And never saw it coming. I don't like babies. I mean, yeah, they can be funny sometimes, but I will not change a diaper, and I will not be in a room where someone changing a diaper. My friend changed his son's diaper in my room. I almost vomited. Also, more money for me if I don't have kids. And why would anyone want to bring another person into this FK'd up world? If I could do something to at least fix America, then maybe I'd consider having a child. It's a really hard responsibility to have, starting with money till your kid mental health that you can't really control cause you don't know what is happening with him in his life even if you are his friend. I just want to live my life not always thinking about what is going on with him/her. And I don't want to be a bad dad, so I wish more people saw adoption as an option. A lot of people saying things like they don't want to pass their genes, don't want to put a child in the world, can't find a partner, and offer impediments that are exclusive to biological kids. There's adoption. People. There are kids who are already out there who could use a home. Too many people on Earth. My spider plant died on me. Probably best that I never attempt to raise kids. Too many to list. But here are a few. I'm not selfish enough. No desire. The Earth is undergoing a mass extinction event. Climate change. I'd be passing on bad genes. My relatives are nut jobs. Can't stand kids. I like peace and quiet. The US is fucked. Kids are sociopaths. Don't want to be responsible for an innocent person suffering in a dying world. Having a child in today's world is selfish and cruel. I don't think it's a good idea to bring another soul from the void here. And no, I don't live in a first world country, and I don't care if today is a much safer and better place and time to have kids compared before. I really don't want another human go through all of this. I'm a loner and want to retire early. I'm in my late 20s now and don't have any friends. So the opportunity to meet a woman like me is zero. If she even exists. It could be sour grapes. But my main focus is to retire early. I don't even really think about relationships or loneliness that much anymore. I still think having kids is probably one of the best life experiences and makes life more fulfilling and aging less lonely. I'm probably going to regret my choices. But I think it's best for me. Well, first of all, I'm gay. Second of all, children are loud and annoying and I'm noise sensitive. And third of all, I can't even take care of myself. You expect me to take care of another human? I like my kid-free life. And the life I enjoy isn't a good environment for raising a kid. Plus there are enough people trying to bring kids into this world. But I am fortunate I was born gay and I don't risk accidentally having a kid. I would be scared as FCK being straight and having sex. At least I can protect myself from STI. But a child is a chronic STI that I do not wish to pay the treatment for. We're less than 2 months away from a fascist dictatorship being enshrined forever in this country that will end all democratic institutions, and maybe coronate the dictator as a monarch, and regress human rights back to the Bronze Age. The dictator might have only sold out the country for a bank loan from a hostile foreign power when no one else would give him one due to his debts. But the party he heads definitely are just garden variety fascists that only care about capturing and maintaining their power by any means necessary. Anyway, no thanks to bringing a child into this scenario to raise. That's basically child abuse. 1. I had a traumatic childhood that left me with lifelong scars, which have forever warped my view of parenthood. You know how they say everyone eventually turns into their parents? Yeah. That's unacceptable to me. I'm not going to put anyone through the pain I felt. 2. The planet is dying. The economy will get worse before it gets better. And God only knows where we're going geopolitically. I'm not going to bring another human life into that. 3. I have serious existential and moral issues with the idea of creating life. Why do you do it? In most cases, you do it to fulfill your own vision of life. In other words, you do it to make yourself happy. But you've just created another human being with their own thoughts and feelings and visions and values. Another human being who did not ask to be created. You decided they needed to be. Therefore, you are responsible for every experience, both good and bad, they have on this planet. And you did this because it made your life complete. Think about that. It's reprehensible to forcefully bring new life into existence to suffer and slave away for someone much richer than them for 40-50 years when you can't even get their consent to do so. I'm torn on answering this question. In that I do want children. I know I shouldn't have children. Why shouldn't I? Because the world is descending toward a second battle against authoritarianism in general and fascism in particular. And even if it were not, there's a climate catastrophe that will land within the upcoming generation. Because I cannot foresee myself having the financial wherewithal to raise one. Because I'm too goddamn weird and unreliable too. And because I'm too shitty at taking care of myself to be sure I can take care of someone else. You're supposed to get some weird parental chemical release in your brain when you hear a baby cry. I hate it. I can't stand it. I want to punt the baby as far as I can. Also, I like freedom from responsibility. I do everything I can to avoid responsibility at home, at work, everywhere. Babies are literally responsibility factories. I don't like kids and I didn't like being one either. My father worked overseas my entire life and I ended up in boarding school when I was 13. Also, I married an infertile career woman with no maternal instinct. She made a pledge recently to minimize contact with anyone who has or will have children since she's so sick of hearing about them. Civilization is on the brink of collapse and I don't want my kid growing up in Mad Max world. I'd rather adopt if I had to. I don't see a reason to make a new person. That said, the amount of work and money and time to put into something for 18 years is a bigger commitment than I can handle. I can't even handle being married, let alone be a father for the rest of my life. Not having a child will give me more flexibility and more freedom for whenever my feelings about something changes. I can't afford them. I'm barely capable of paying rent every month. I couldn't add the cost of living for an entire other human to that. I don't think it's ethical to have a kid knowing I couldn't provide for them. Bigger picture. I kinda think climate change is going to collapse civilization in less than 50 years and I don't think it's fair to dump kids into an apocalypse that we created and did nothing to stop. The world is changing into something I wouldn't want my kids going through. I would raise them to be assertive and strong. Then they would find out that the world is much weaker than them and wouldn't understand why I never told them. Also, I'm adopted and never really had a childhood since I had to learn from a young age. Honestly, I wouldn't know what to do. My relationship with my parents always felt so awkward. I really preferred the company of my peers. Instead of the sort of top-down subordinate thing. Just as soon not relive it. I've got mad mental problems. Some of which are my own. But many of which are from the way my parents raised me. They were very loving. But as I got older I realized many things they did were abusive. It's taken me a long time to start working through these issues. I know I'd do my best as a dad. And I'd still end up f***ing my kid's brain up just like they did mine. I'm not gonna do that.